In the summer of 1976, in a small town in Ohio, a woman opened her mailbox and found a letter that knew too much. It was written in hard block capitals. It was postmarked from the city, an hour up the road, and it was signed by no one. In the years that followed, this town would settle on a single suspect, and a court would lock him behind a door he could not post a single envelope through. And still, the letters kept arriving. One of them was addressed to the prisoner himself. Welcome to the strange Casebook. The town is Circleville, Ohio. The woman is Mary Gillispie, a school bus driver. And the file in front of me tonight has been open for 50 years. It has been called a stalking, a hoax, a family feud, and a perfect frame. And it has never quite settled into being any one of them. As always, I will give you the record, not the rumors. Let us begin with the first letter. The letter that reached Mary Gillispie that summer made a single, ugly accusation. It said she was having an affair with Gordon Massey, the superintendent of the local school district. Stay away from Massey, it warned. I know where you live. I have been watching your house. There was no return address. There was no name. Only those flat, deliberate capitals. And a postmark from Columbus, the city an hour to the north. At first, the letters came only for Mary. Then they came for her husband, Ron. Then for neighbors, for co-workers, for people across the town who had never met one another, each accused of some private sin the writer claimed to know. The handwriting was always the same. The postmark was always Columbus. And the threats grew sharper with every passing month. Before it was over, the writer would mail hundreds of these letters, by some counts more than 1,000 over the years that followed. They went to teachers, to officials, to ordinary families up and down the county. Each one written by the same patient hand. Each one claiming to know a secret. Each one carrying the same quiet promise that the writer was watching and close. In the summer of 1977, Ron Gillispie took a telephone call at home. His children would later say it shook him. He took a gun from the house, got into his truck, and drove off, they said, to confront the writer at last. He never came back. His truck was found wrapped around a tree on a country road. His death was ruled an accident. But his family never accepted that. And 2 details in the report have unsettled the case ever since. A man they swore did not drink was found with alcohol in his blood. And his gun, it was reported, had been fired once. For a time, the letters slowed. Mary Gillispie kept driving her bus route, past the same fields, the same fences, the same quiet roads. And then, in February of 1983, the campaign stepped out of the mailbox and into the open air. On her route that winter, Mary saw a sign posted along the road, a crude placard making an obscene accusation about her family. She had torn such signs down before, but as she reached for this one, she stopped. A length of twine ran from the back of the sign across the ground to a small wooden box. Inside that box was a handgun. It stood upright, packed in place with blocks of foam, and the string was tied to its trigger so that pulling the sign would fire the weapon into whoever bent to take it down. It was a trap, built with care, set on a public road, and meant to kill. And it failed. For reasons no one has ever fully explained, the gun did not go off. The serial number on that pistol had been filed away, but the State Crime Bureau raised it again from the metal, and it led them to an owner, a man named Paul Freshour. He was Mary Gillespie's brother-in-law. He told the investigators the gun had been stolen from his garage weeks earlier. They did not believe him. In October of 1983, Paul Freshour stood trial, not for the letters, but for the trap on the road. He pleaded not guilty. The case against him leaned on that recovered gun and on a handwriting comparison that critics have questioned ever since, because to make it, investigators had asked him to copy out one of the Circleville letters in his own hand, rather than give a neutral sample. He was convicted of attempted murder and sentenced to 7 to 25 years. He went to prison, insisting he had written nothing, trapped no one, and that someone had built all of this around him. And here is where the case stops being a crime and becomes something stranger. Because with Paul Freshour locked away, the letters did not stop. They kept arriving in Circleville. The same block capitals, the same Columbus postmark. The campaign carried on as though nothing had changed, while the only man ever blamed for it sat behind bars. The prison took notice. To clear him or to catch him, officials placed Freshour in solitary confinement and took away his writing materials. The warden would confirm that during those stretches, he had no way to send mail at all. And still, the letters came. The town kept opening envelopes that by every plain measure, their author could not have posted. And then came the detail that gives this case its chill. One of the letters was addressed to Paul Freshour himself, in his cell. It mocked him. "Now who will believe you?" it said in so many words. "You are in prison, and I am still here." There is one piece of evidence that cuts the other way, and honesty requires that I set it beside the rest. Investigators reported finding Freshour's fingerprints on roughly a dozen letters postmarked while he was locked up. To some, that was proof of guilt, that he must have had help on the outside, an accomplice mailing pages he had already handled. To others, it was the opposite, the fingerprint of a frame. Letters assembled from paper a man had touched before a door ever closed on him. The record does not resolve which is true. It only holds both. By the early 90s, the case had outgrown the town. when the television program Unsolved Mysteries set out to film it, the producers received a postcard before they had even reached Ohio. "Forget Circleville," it warned. "If you come to Ohio, you will pay." It was signed, the Circleville writer. That same year, 1994, after about a decade inside, Paul Freshour was released. And at almost the same moment, after 18 years, the letters simply stopped. No final message, no confession. Only silence in the mailboxes, where, for so long, there had been threats. Freshour spent the rest of his life maintaining his innocence. He died in 2012, never charged with writing a single one of the letters that had cost him everything. And that is where the record ends, and where it has stayed. A town terrorized for the better part of 2 decades. A man convicted of the trap on the road, but never of the writing. Letters that arrived while their only suspect sat in a cell with no pen and no post. To this day, no police force has put a name to the Circleville writer. The handwriting is still studied. The postmarks are real. The chronology refuses to close. Someone in that county knew secrets they were never meant to know, mailed them in flat block capitals for 18 years, and was never, by any court, made to answer for it. The file stays open. I will see you at the next. If you'd like to sit with more cases like this, subscribe. The file stays open.